What's up, everybody? It's Thinker St. James. Generally on the channel, I'm yelling about the funnier things in mixed martial arts, but today we're talking about some pretty serious allegations that have come out against the light heavyweight champion of the world, Alex Pereira. I'm sure that you have heard something about these allegations as they have rocked the MMA community. The accuser in this case released several TikTok videos detailing her recollection of the events as they transpired. Some of the details of her story are very much he said, she said. Others are provably true. So it's a mixed bag with this case, and the details are very much murky right now as to what's true, what's not, about the primary allegations of misconduct. So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but I have gathered as much information as I can on this subject to present to you here, and we'll be listening to the accuser's own words to describe what happened in a little bit here. We're starting off with this thread by MMA Honey Badger on Twitter. I suggest that you follow him. Shout out to him for putting all of this together. This thread was released on August 5th. It is now the 7th, and the allegations came out only a few days before that. So the reason that I'm starting with it, though, is just to echo the sentiments that the thread starts with itself, saying, do not harass the alleged victim or Alex until the actual proof comes out. And I would very much agree with that. The details are inconclusive at the moment, except for the things that are verifiably true. So there might be some legal proceedings coming from this in the future. We're just going to have to wait and see how this all shakes out. But until that happens, everything is allegations and no one needs to be harassed over it. So control yourselves. All right, so let's get into the actual allegations in the accuser's own words here. Shout out to Excellent MMA on YouTube for putting together this compilation of the accusations.
Okay, this is like my 40th time trying to make this video, so I'm going to try to do it again without crying. Alex Pereira's assistant, translator, I don't know who he is to him. His name is Mel. My friend followed him on Instagram over 2 months ago. He DMs her after she follows him, asks her questions like how long she had been doing kickboxing for, how she got into it, stuff like that. He asks her if she's going to the fight in New Jersey that we went to. I don't know what number it was. I'm not into it like that, like she is. This was my first time ever meeting Alex or knowing who he was. I'm not a huge UFC fan. I just got into it because my friend was into it.
So her friend becomes connected to this person, Mel, who is a member of Alex Pereira's team. They start talking on Instagram. He asks her if she's going to the fights. This Mel person is Melvin Jovel. He is an amateur mixed martial artist with a 4-0 record. That's on Tapology here. That's Mel. Funnily enough, he fought in LFA earlier this month, only a couple of days ago, as these accusations were coming out. And as you can see on Mel's Instagram, he is pictured with Alex Pereira several times. So this is the Mel that she is describing, and the event that she is describing is UFC 302 that took place in Newark, New Jersey on June 1st. So 2 months ago.
Alex's assistant, translator, best friend, whoever he was, his name is Mel, asks my friend if she wants to meet up with him in New Jersey when she goes to the fight. He also says that Alex is wondering if she has a friend for him. I know it sounds stupid and unbelievable because I couldn't believe it myself. Why is this guy asking a 20-year-old girl to put him on with one of her friends when he's a 30-year-old, however, father who should be able to just like talk to a woman his age at the fight? It was planned out on purpose because he does this all the time.
So that is a point of this that is a little bit suspect. Alex Pereira is 37 years old. Melvin Jovel does not have an age listed on Tapology or SureDog, so perhaps it makes sense for him to be talking to a 20-year-old girl, depending on what age he is, but Alex Pereira being 37, that is a rather wide age gap. However, It's not illegal. It might be slightly eyebrow raising, but they are of age, at least legal consent age. So yeah, Alex's translator friend, teammate Mel is talking to her friend on Instagram, asking if they're going to the fights. She says that she's going. Mel asks if her friend has a friend that she can bring for Alex Pereira. And she's claiming that he does this kind of thing all the time. That remains to be seen. We have not heard any additional allegations, although there was something that came out about Alex's ex-fiance liking the post that this accuser made.
Alex hasn't responded to Meredith's accusations, but his ex-girlfriend, Christine Merle, seems to believe Meredith. Christine liked a repost of Meredith accusing Alex of assault.
So, there you go. Yeah, so Alex's ex liked the reel that this girl put out about these allegations. You can draw your own conclusions as to whatever that means.
My friend sends Mel, the assistant and the translator, whoever he was, he never really gave us an explanation who he was. She sends him my Instagram. Mel shows Alex my Instagram. Apparently, the only thing he said was "Chama." I'll try and find the text proof where my friend was telling me this.
So, when I heard that, I thought that that was pretty on the nose. I thought that that was kind of caricature-ish. You know, Alex with the Chama. The Chama memes are all over the place. They're very prevalent. The Easter Island head, you know, the stone-faced demeanor, all that kind of stuff is kind of part and parcel with the Alex character, quote unquote. But when I looked into this a little bit further, these only came out, I believe, today. These are some of the text exchanges that she's talking about here. Start with this one. So this is a confirmation of the conversation that she's saying that this person Mel had with her. And he's asking, you know, who are you coming to the fight with? She says her best friend. And she's not a big UFC fan. So, I mean, that all lines up there. And this is the text where she's being asked if she has a friend for Alex. And she says that she does. And this is the text where he says basically exactly what she said. By the way, I sent you my friend's Instagram. So bro's wearing my glasses right now, and I showed him, and he took his glasses off and said Chama. So as I had said, this seemed a little bit on the nose, but the text message exchange does seem to back that up. So let's move on here.
Which is disgusting now that I know what his intent was. We go to New Jersey. Mel hits up my friend, invites us both to a private training at a gym called Cruz MMA, where Alex is training. We're the only women in there except for this older woman who's married to one of the people that's also sparring.
So they're invited to Cruz MMA. Honey Badger has the logo here, and Cruz MMA is Polinio Cruz's gym. They are the only women in the gym aside from the wife of one of Alex's training partners. And so here is a picture that has come out of her friend here sparring with Alex Pereira. We'll hear her in the video a little bit later talk about how she didn't have any interest in sparring. So she, I believe, is the one who took this picture. As far as her recollection of the story goes, this is her friend in this picture, not her.
I'm hoping I can find security footage. My friend spars with him. I videotape the whole time, and I'm sitting down watching. I can post the video that I took also, where my friend is sparring with him. Him and Mel take me and my friend outside of the gym that we were in after the training session. He comes on to me, goes behind me, looks at my ass, and approves to his translator, which is also disgusting now that I know what his intent was, like I was cattle or something. Mind you, This man doesn't speak any English. I don't know what he's saying the entire time. His translator is translating for me everything he's saying and everything I'm saying. He tries to kiss me outside of Cruz MMA Gym. I grab his face and I push him away. I will try to find security footage from a building around it if possible.
Okay, so after this training session, they're outside. Alex tries to come on to her. She rejects his advances. If she can find that footage, that would certainly lend some credibility to the undesired, unconsenting contact that she is describing later in the allegations. That would be pretty helpful to her case. I don't think that any footage like that has come out yet, so we'll wait and see if something does.
We leave the training. They then invite us to like a meeting or like something that was outside where they were like signing stuff, I guess. I don't know. But we turned it down because it was outside and it was super hot and we had already done our makeup and gotten ready for the UFC fight that night. So they...
Okay, so the event that she's talking about there is the UFC 302 fan experience, and you can see on this poster here that Alex Pereira is listed as a fighter that would be attending that fan experience event. So if we go back over to the text exchanges, this is the one where Mel is asking the friend if she'd like to train with Alex Pereira, and this is the one where he's inviting them to the UFC 302 fan experience. And they do indeed turn it down because it is hot outside. So these are also lining up with what she's saying.
They then invite us to dinner before the UFC fight. We were going to go out, according to them, but he sends us an address, then our Uber takes us to a very nice hotel where Alex is staying, and a bunch of, I guess, UFC fighters are also there. His assistant and translator, Mel, brings us into this fancy hotel. I can find security footage proof of this also. And it's just a bunch of like UFC people sitting in a circle. And Alex looks up at us, looks angry as fuck, and tells his assistant, Mel, to take us out of the hotel. And everyone is looking at us like, who are these girls? Why are they here? I don't know either. I'm just like there because they asked us to. And
so they end up going to the UFC Fighter Hotel, and they enter, I guess, the lobby. There are a large amount of UFC fighters in the lobby. She's claiming everybody looks at them, and Alex Pereira gets angry and tells Mel to take them out of the environment. That would also be somewhat credible, I would guess, if she could get some footage of them entering that environment and Alex becoming visibly upset. Did any of the UFC fighters come forward to say that they recognize this person? That would be helpful, I guess, as well, or helpful in the sense that if they also saw Alex getting upset, it does add somewhat to the narrative, I suppose.
Like, I didn't realize they were bad people. He makes us leave the hotel and he brings us to the Courtyard Marriott across the street from it. They have 2 hotel rooms that they have already bought for that night, which is disgusting. It was all planned out.
So I do want to interject here and say it is not uncommon for fighters to get additional lodging considerations made when there are big events, high-profile events, especially for big-name stars like Alex Pereira, champion of the world. There would be a lot of people around, a lot of commotion, a lot of activity. It is not uncommon for them to be booked in one place and relocate to another. So there's really nothing wrong with them having additional lodging considerations made. And the Courtyard Marriott in question is this one here, apparently. But so they invite these girls after they have now bounced them from the Fighter Hotel to this other hotel. They invite them out to dinner prior to the fights.
They take us to the Courtyard Marriott across the street from the actual hotel that Alex is staying at. We go to the restaurant in the like lobby of the Courtyard Marriott. I can find security footage proof of this also. They buy us a flatbread pizza and then they ask, well, Mel is asking all of this. Alex doesn't speak any English. He's just translating. Mel asks us how old we are. I said, I'm 21. My friend says that she's 20 years old, not old enough to drink alcohol. So he talks to Alex, tells him how old we say we are, and then they buy us, I think, 2 glasses of wine. So
this is one of the more damning allegations that could be provable currently. If there is video footage of these men buying an underage person alcohol, that is, of course, a crime. The legal drinking age in New Jersey is 21 years old. So if this girl is 20 and being bought alcohol, that is illegal. So that video footage there would also be pretty beneficial to her if she can get that. I would suspect that that footage should be somewhere available. I don't know how long hotels generally hold on to surveillance footage for. All of these allegations are coming out a good while after they were alleged to have taken place. So a month's time might be a little bit of a stretch, but if it is available, that would be helpful to her case, especially considering some of the other allegations here.
Mind you, they're buying alcohol for a 20-year-old girl that is not old enough to drink alcohol, and this is on security footage. Didn't make me sign an NDA before he did any of this. Like, just did it because he does this all the time, probably.
So, yeah, if he does this all the time, that would be something that would also lend a lot of credibility to all of this. There haven't been any other women who have come forward to say that they were in a similar situation to this yet. She's making some pretty bold accusations by saying that he probably does this all the time.
It was so routine and planned out. They're giving us drinks. Alex won't get off of me. I'm not into it because I don't know this man. I don't like being touched if I don't know you and I'm not comfortable with you. Even if you're my family member, I just don't like being touched. I'm starting to get tipsy and I feel sick because I don't do well when I drink. But I'm trying to calm my nerves.
So she's uncomfortable with Alex, who apparently is all over her. Again, that would be very damning if the video footage of that came out. That would be non-consenting behavior. I don't know what the exact charges would be from that, but forcibly touching a person is illegal, from what I understand. So if she has footage of that as well, that would also be pretty bad for Alex. The only basic criticism that I would add to this, however, is that if you are uncomfortable with a person who has already forced themselves on you in one way or another, based on what she was saying about what happened outside of Cruz MMA, it's really unwise to be drinking with that person. You know, putting yourself in a compromised position as far as your mental faculties go, not a great idea. As she said, she was trying to calm her nerves. Fine, but you now have a person who has come on to you twice in an undesired fashion, rather forcefully from what you're saying here, and you are getting yourself intoxicated. Not a great idea.
He won't get off of me. He keeps asking me to go to the bathroom with him, or he's asking Mel, and Mel is telling me this. So I guess this is how he gets away with it, because he didn't technically, well, no, because he did it. He just technically didn't say any of it to my face. He said it through his translator, and his translator said it to my face. But his translator wasn't the one who assaulted me. He's telling us.
So he's in the restaurant. He's coming on to her very strongly. He's asking her to go to the bathroom. We know what the implication is there.
Translator to ask me to go to the bathroom with him. I'm telling him no, because I don't do that. I get uncomfortable and nervous, and as much as you guys think that I'm this, like, whore, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on TikTok. As much as you guys think these things about me just because of the line of work that I do, I just do what I have to do to make ends meet. That has nothing to do with anything.
So that is a point to bring up in this whole conversation, that this person is an OnlyFans creator. I don't know what type of content she does on OnlyFans. I believe that her OnlyFans has been removed, as has been her Instagram account. But just a point to bring up as far as the facts go.
I don't put out the first time meeting somebody because I have a lot of trauma and I get nervous and scared. I will try to find security footage. Legally, they have to be able to pull this up, right? Like, Alex can't, like, somehow, like, get it erased. That would literally not be fair.
It's not that he would have it erased. It's the fact that if you're just now coming out with these allegations, it might be somewhat problematic considering that security footage, as far as I understand, gets routinely erased after a certain amount of time elapses. So I don't know how long that would be, but there is somewhat of a possibility that since it is over a month's time, that footage might not exist anymore.
I'm gonna try my hardest to find the security footage. If it actually ends up, like, going to court or, like, something happens, I don't know what I was expecting. I just posted it because I just wanted to talk about it. I go to the bathroom with my friend after Alex has been coming on to me the whole night, and I feel sick and uncomfortable and like I'm about to throw up. I tell her in the bathroom, at no point during this whole entire visit with these people are you to leave me, because I'm not comfortable.
So this is one of the things I'll interject my opinion on here. If you have now had 2 instances where you have felt uncomfortable with this person, this is an opportunity for you to exit the situation. Even if your friend wants to stay with these people, if she's not feeling as compromised as you are, granted she's underage drinking with them, that of course is not great, but if she doesn't want to leave, you still had the opportunity here to do a number of things. You could have talked to the staff of the restaurant. You could have called the police yourself. I mean, you already have a crime on the books here with them supplying alcohol to a minor. There are a number of ways that you could have removed yourself from the situation. You telling your friend that you need to stay by each other's side for the rest of this encounter is not an effective way to negate something that could potentially be very traumatic if that's what you're concerned about.
We agree that we won't leave each other at any point because Mel, the assistant and the translator, is also hitting on my friend, who's 20 years old. I don't know how old this man was.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious what they were trying to get at. That's another point to add to what I just said previously. I mean, if you know that sex is what they are after and you are going back into this negative situation, that's a bad thing. That's not great.
I'm trying to tell Alex's assistant to tell Alex that I don't put out like that after I meet someone for the very first time, and that I need him to get to know me and to work for it. I, quote, said to his translator, trying not to be a prude and annoying, but I told him, I was like, how do I say you have to work for it?
This is another one of the portions of this video that I think really does not do very well in her favor. When you're saying that you need to work for it, that's implying that there's an end goal that is reachable. When you say that you have to work for it, that means that if you do work for it, you will get what you're after. It does not bode well for you if you are already very nervous and very scared of this person. In fact, the camera footage from the restaurant could be negative towards her if it shows that she's being playful and otherwise receptive to any of this. She's claiming that she was all scared. She's claiming that she was not welcoming any of the advances that Alex made. If her demeanor said otherwise, and that all he needed to do was work for it, then perhaps he thought that if he continued on with the evening, that would be the working for it that he needed to do. He would eventually get what he was looking for. So this does not paint her very well by saying this.
His assistant laughs, tells Alex, and Alex tells his assistant to tell us that he really likes us and he's going to take us on a trip to the Dominican Republic to get to know us better, because I guess he's trying to, like, convince me that he's not, you know, just trying to take advantage of me. So I'm like, okay, like, that's great. I don't have a passport. Like, can you, like, let me know, like, when this is happening so I can, like, pack and, like, get ready for it. Like, I mean, I make my own money and I don't need this man's money. It's not me trying to get his money. I literally could not care less if I don't get anything out of this except for to find my own voice again.
So Alex Pereira is flexing a little bit, saying that he's going to take him on a trip to the Dominican Republic, obviously to further the goals that he has in her telling here. Sounds like you were pretty receptive to that. Doesn't sound like you were very scared to go on international travel with this man, even though you're saying that you don't have a passport, but it wasn't like you outright denied it. It wasn't like you said back, no, there's no way I would ever go on a trip with you, even if you were trying to be polite. I mean, there's ways that you could imply, no, I'm not interested in going to get to know you better or doing anything with you for that matter, if you're that upset.
I just wanted to talk about my story. I was not expecting his fans to be as bad as he is, but I guess I should have known. We have to split up because it's time to go to the UFC fight. His translator and Alex go on their own. Me and my friend take an Uber. It goes terribly. The fight ends.
So this is another point where if she felt uncomfortable with all of this, now they are split up again to go to the fights, Alex and Mel, and her friend. This is another opportunity that you could have removed yourself from this dangerous situation had you wanted to. If you are that scared, if you are that worried, if you cannot leave your friend's side because you are so concerned about what these people might do, perhaps you and your friend should not have gone to the fights. No amount of UFC fights is worth being sexually assaulted for later on down the line. I think that becomes rather clear based on what she will be saying in a little bit here.
Afterwards, his assistant Mel sends an Uber to our location after the UFC fight and brings us back to the Courtyard Marriott where we were going to go out. We were going to go there and they were going to drive us, and they were talking about going to, I don't know, they were talking about going to strip clubs, and they were... Just to be clear also, that picture that I posted where everyone is saying that it looks like I'm a fan that asked him to take a picture with me, I did not ask for that picture. I asked for no pictures. I didn't know who this man was. My friend asked for pictures with him after asking me to record her sparring with him, and then he asked on everyone that I know and love's life, he asked for pictures with me. I did not ask for those pictures. He asked his assistant to ask my friend after he asked to take the pictures. He asked his assistant to ask my friend to have me send the pictures to her, and then she sends it to my assistant because he wanted the pictures, because it was probably a trophy for him. I did not ask for those pictures.
So she jumps around a little bit here, but the picture that she's talking about is this one, and you can see the caption here is met Alex Pereira, or meet Alex Pereira, and the further caption, I don't have that version of it, but it is an accusation of sexual assault written out somewhere up in the top portion around this area. So this is the picture that she's speaking about. And she's claiming that this is a picture that he asked for, not her, because people online were saying that this looked like a fan interaction. She's saying that that's not what it was. So this could be a little bit of 4D chess on either side of the equation. If what she is claiming against Alex Pereira is true, this could be a way to minimize that. Say, look, obviously everything's cool here. She's just a fan. She's a little bit crazy. She's making some false allegations against me. Or this could be 4D chess on her side of the equation, saying, look, this picture was taken by him for exactly the purposes that she laid out. So inconclusive, but either way, she's claiming that this picture was not taken by her request. This was taken at Alex's request.
That's besides the point, but basically his assistant sends us an Uber to where we are after the UFC fight and brings us back to the Courtyard Marriott, where we were supposed to be waiting for Alex to get back from an interview, I think he said.
So if we go back over to the screenshots, there is, yes, so this is the screenshot that is what she's describing now. It's crazy. It's after the fight, so everything's just getting out. A lot of people around. saying it's sketchy, find a storefront, and he'll send an Uber. And they were in front of the National Newark building. So that is another element that lines up with what she is talking about here.
And then we were gonna go out. He was talking about going to strip clubs and like having a fun night while we were all in New Jersey, New York for the weekend. We wait for like 2 hours for Alex to come while his friend is on the phone talking about like kids with cancer and big money transfers and things that had to do with Alex. And we were like, hey, it's getting kind of late. Like, is Alex coming? Like, what's the plan? Should we just go back home? Because we're kind of tired. Like, if we're going to have plans, can we like get on with it? Because it's already getting very late. At this point, I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning.
So she's claiming that Alex is off doing an interview after the fight, and this Mel person is talking on the phone, and it's getting late into the evening. It'd be interesting to see if we could find the interview that Alex was doing, because who is conducting this interview at 3 o'clock in the morning or somewhere relatively in that time frame, somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m.? But that's what she's claiming. It's getting late. They're waiting. They think that they're going to go out on the town, go to strip clubs, go whatever. And Alex is taking a while to get there. They're saying it's getting late. We're getting tired, etc., etc.
Eventually, Alex comes to the hotel room after the interview that he was at, and he says that he doesn't want to go out. He wants to enjoy the time that he has with the people he's with. Some bullshit like that. And then he takes off his clothes, gets into bed, orders food, and then is trying to get me to get into bed with him.
So this is where the heavier allegations start to be made. She's claiming that she thought that they were going to go out. Her and her friend thought that they were going to go out on the town. Alex says he does not want to go out. He orders food and strips naked in the hotel room with all 4 of them present and gets into bed. So he is a clothless man in bed, I guess under the covers, while 3 other people are in the room with him and they're waiting on food. If they could find the hotel staff member who brought that food, perhaps that would be an interesting element to all of this. I mean, granted, they might not have seen too much, but if it was a room service situation, perhaps there's something to be gleaned from that. All I know is that currently she's saying there is a naked man in bed and 3 other people in the room waiting on food. They're all going to be hanging out in this hotel room.
My friend and me and the translator are all sitting on the couch, and he's just sitting in bed staring at me and telling his translator to tell me things and trying to convince me to get into bed with him.
So while her friend and Mel are in the room, her as well, of course, he's trying to get her to get into bed with him, even though all of these other people are around and either they're waiting on food or food has just arrived. Okay.
I eventually get into bed with him because I was naive, I guess. I didn't think that anything was going to happen. My friend was there with me. I had told her not to leave me at any point. She had told me not to leave her with the assistant at any point. I thought that we were going to be fine. I thought I was going to be able to maybe try and get myself comfortable by getting into bed with him and cuddling with him if there was people in the room. I just have problems of my own. I have trauma. This is not the first time that this has happened to me. I was just naive, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I got into bed with him.
Yeah, so this also, I mean, I'm understanding the way that she's describing. She's had previous traumatic situations. She's claiming that she was naive. However, the way that you tried to get yourself comfortable with a person you were already scared of is to get into bed with him while he's naked. You are trying to comfort yourself by cuddling with a nude man in bed. All right.
My friend was there. So was the assistant. I thought I was going to be fine. He starts touching me down there repeatedly. I keep pushing him off. I keep pushing his hand off. I keep bringing his hand back up to like my waist so that we can just like cuddle, because I'm comfortable with cuddling. I'm not comfortable with putting out with somebody that I don't know. I just met literally for the first time. He's huge, scary, doesn't speak any of my language, and I wasn't comfortable putting out with him.
So while your friend, who is supposed to be by your side making sure that you're okay, is in the room, he's touching you, he's doing all of these things, and what are they doing? What are your friend and Mel doing? Are they, I mean, I don't want to speculate on what they're doing, but what are they doing if she is not, your friend knows that you are in bed with him while he's naked? Is nobody realizing that this is potentially problematic? I mean, you do, obviously, if you're still in bed with him and he's trying to touch you. I mean, I can understand that he is a very large, imposing figure that is rather frightening. It is understandable that you might have been afraid. However, did you try to remove yourself at any point? Did you try to get yourself out of this compromised situation that you went into somewhat willingly based on how you're describing it? Did you try to get yourself out of this compromised situation in any way, shape, or form? And did your friend try to get you out of this compromised situation in any way, shape, or form? Because right now, you have willingly got yourself into bed with a nude man. That's already somewhat of an implication as to where he thought that this might be going. And he's trying to touch you in an area of your body that you don't want to be touched in. And your friend, who's supposed to be there by your side, making sure that you're okay, is doing nothing about it either.
Because that's just not what I do. He keeps touching me. I keep pushing him off. Eventually, me and my friend say that we're very tired and we would like to go to sleep. They turn all the lights off. My friend and the assistant get into bed. It's a queen-size bed that they get into. I'm in a queen-size bed right next to it with Alex. Me and my friend are on the inside of the bed looking at each other under the blankets.
So at this point, you and your friend say that you're tired, you'd like to go to sleep, and still, you're not trying to exit this situation that has already escalated to pretty much the brink, I would say. This is getting to be pretty well right into the danger zone. And at this point, still, you're not trying to leave this situation. You and your friend are looking at each other on the inside of the bed, facing each other, and not trying to express to one another that, hey, I want to get out of here. We're going to sleep the night through here and everything's going to be fine, after he's repeatedly been touching you, after he's been repeatedly coming on to you in various locations throughout the course of this interaction. Okay.
He keeps pulling the blanket over me, keeps trying to touch me. I feel suffocated. I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. I've pushed him off so many times at this point, and he's not taking the hint, and these men are clearly not caring about my comfortability. Mind you, again, I don't know what I was thinking. I was naive, I guess. I guess you could say I asked for it by getting into bed with him. I didn't know that this was going to happen.
No victim of forced sexual activity is asking for it. That is not the aim of this video. That is not, I would hope, the aim of anybody who's making critical remarks about this. However, some of these details do seem a little odd. And I think that that is what people are trying to express. If you are a victim of a legitimate crime, you are a victim, and that is something that is terrible, and justice deserves to be served for that. It's just people trying to understand what actually is going on here, because it's a little bit hard to believe at certain points for some people. Doesn't mean it's not true. Just means that it's somewhat hard to believe, especially based on the sequence of events in this narrative as you are presenting them.
I'm pushing him off of me. He won't get off. He eventually pulls my underwear and my pants down to around like halfway on my thighs, and I push him off again. He gets out of bed, he starts screaming and putting his socks and his clothes on. I'm terrified because I don't know what's happening. My pants are around my legs after I told him no and pushed him off, and he's screaming in another language. Me and my friend are looking at each other, hiding under the blankets, like about to start bawling our eyes out.
So at this point, she's saying that her pants are now down around her legs, her knee area, and she's denying him yet again. He starts screaming and reclothing himself. That is an element of this story that is also a little bit strange. He starts screaming and redressing. Her and her friend are scared, and he's going nuts.
And he starts telling his translator that he doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him and my friend, and that he wants them to leave.
Also, I guess if that's the case, he's kicking out the friend and Mel. If she had been more receptive, I guess he was going to be doing sexual activity just in the room with these other two people. I know that that's not uncommon for some people. It's a little bit stranger for others. I guess depending on your level of comfort with something like that, maybe people have different opinions about that. So at this point, he's getting a little bit crazy. He's telling Melvin and the friend that they need to leave, and she's staying in the room with him.
His translator and my friend leave the hotel room. His translator and my friend leave the hotel room. He immediately starts trying to take my clothes off. He starts trying to take my socks off. I try to tell him no, because I have blisters on my feet from walking around New York in heels for like 10 hours the night before, and I had band-aids on my blisters, and they were going to get ripped off with my socks. I tried to explain to him, don't take my socks off, please. He didn't understand that. So at that point, I'm like, okay, fuck. I'm in a room with a huge man that doesn't speak English. He's not understanding what I'm saying. He doesn't give a fuck because I've pushed him off so many times, and he doesn't care. And he like got up and screamed and scared me into staying in the room with him and making his assistant and my friend leave the room.
I did think that was an interesting detail, that he was trying to get her socks off so emphatically. You'd think that if he was in berserk rage mode, that getting to the end goal would be his primary objective, as opposed to whether or not she had socks on her feet. I don't know how that all plays in. I just thought it was interesting. Also, what state of undress was Alex in at this point? In the beginning, he started off clothed when they entered the room. He got naked. He apparently put his clothing back on to some extent. Was he shirtless with pants on? Was he in his boxers or some other type of undergarment? These are all details that I'm sure that the police would be asking. But so at this point, he's trying to get her socks off. She's saying that he is not listening to anything that she's saying because he doesn't speak English. And she doesn't want to take her socks off because her blisters would break and she potentially would be bleeding onto the bed out of her feet.
At this point, I know what's happening. I've been through this before. I know that it's just easiest if I just shut my mouth, do what I have to, put on whatever performance that I have to make it end.
Yeah, so she's also claimed now again here, but earlier in this video, she did say that she has been through this before, quote unquote, so implying that she's been victimized before. Just another detail, I guess.
He puts me on top of him so that I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to say on TikTok. He puts me on top of him so that we are... I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but he puts me on top of him so that we're 69ing.
I did think that this was also an interesting detail. 69ing is an interesting position to put one in a forced scenario. It is a very compromised position for the man. Jaw pressure on the male member would be extremely painful and potentially very damaging to his anatomy. So interesting that that would be what this started with, this coerced activity. But again, just another interesting point in this story.
I think that it's just going to be like normal. Like he just pressured me into having sex, and he scared me into having sex with him. It's whatever. Like, it's nothing that hasn't happened to me before. Like, I'll just, you know, keep it inside like I usually do, and just live with it. There's confirmation of
what I was mentioning earlier.
He starts using multiple of his fingers, forcefully pushing them into my ass. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not. Everybody's asking for an explanation, so here it is. This is literally just the truth. It's disgusting and embarrassing, and I've tried to make this video so many times, and I keep crying, and I just feel disgusting and humiliated and violated, and I know people are going to laugh at me, and people are going to say that I deserved it and think that it's funny what I'm about to say. You can laugh, it's whatever. Like, I just thought that, like, this would help me heal by talking about it.
So, yeah, no one should be laughing at any of this, of course. These are very serious allegations, and this is very traumatic stuff if it is true. She's saying that he began jamming his fingers into her anus. That is a very sensitive part of the body. If it isn't primed for such activity, I would think that that would be rather damaging to that region. Perhaps there would have been blood from that. And also, if she was forcefully penetrated that way, this is exactly what would be uncovered by a rape kit. As far as I've been able to tell in the details that have come out about this, no rape kit was conducted and the police were not contacted. That is a very unfortunate element for her if all of this is true. She should have immediately gone to the police, immediately gotten a rape kit done. All of those details would have been very clear had she done those things.
He's basically fisting my ass at this point.
Yeah, that's a pretty hefty amount of trauma to that region if it's not used to something like that. So theoretically, there would be a good amount of blood from that. If there was blood on the sheets, that would have been a huge smoking gun. I don't know what hotel protocol is for that type of thing, but perhaps if the staff saw a large amount of blood on the sheets, maybe they would have said, hey, something might have happened here. I don't know if they save anything like that. I would doubt that. But if she could have gotten those sheets with her DNA on it from that crime scene, that would have been huge. Again, all of these allegations are coming out a month after they were alleged to have happened. It doesn't seem likely that anything like that will occur.
It hurts really bad, and I'm blacking out and disassociating and, like, just trying not to be there while it's happening. Before his assistant had left the room, I had told him to please tell Alex that I was very nervous. I don't put out on the first time meeting somebody like that. Please emphasize to Alex that I'm very nervous. I haven't had sex with a lot of people. I have a lot of sexual trauma. I freeze up in the moment, and I am not able to have sex with people like that when I first meet them. And I told his translator to tell him that.
Okay.
He picks me up from off of on top of him, asks me, the only time he spoke English this entire time that I was with him was to ask me to help him put it in. I tried to put it in, but I was nervous, so I couldn't.
So this is also yet another interesting allegation here. Alex Pereira does not speak a word of English as far as I can tell, as far as any of his interviews show. Generally, he has Plinio Cruz translating for him in the cage. The only time that he spoke English was to tell her to help him insert himself into her. it seems a little odd that that would be the only English that he knows. The words "put it in" would be the 3 English words that he would be privy to. It's a little bit weird that that would be the only time that he spoke English, and that's the only English that he really knows. I'm sure he knows some English. I'm not saying that he's completely devoid of any knowledge of the English language, but it's a little bit odd that that would be the one time he spoke English, and that would be something that he would know how to say.
So he did it, and he put it in my ass, and then he assaulted me.
So he's asking her in English to insert himself into her. She is nervous, doesn't do that, and he goes into a different orifice than theoretically intended. That, again, after the trauma of what she had alleged earlier with the digital penetration, that on top of it would have probably yielded a good amount of blood, a good amount of DNA evidence would have been left of all of this. I would think that those sheets would have been rather soiled after all of that. All kinds of DNA from both of them would have been on that bed at that point. So had she had that, had she gone to the police, this would have been an open and shut case. She would have had all kinds of DNA evidence. She would have had the full rape kit, which would have proven all of this. This could have been a slam dunk for her if these allegations are true. She waited a month to say all of this stuff.
Afterwards, he got up, he took a shower, I laid in bed, just kind of like disassociated, not even really like realizing what had just happened. I'm scared as fuck, and I don't know if I can use the shower, and I'm scared to ask him. So I just go to the bathroom and I sit on the toilet for a few minutes while I literally bleed. I come back to bed after going to the bathroom.
So just there, it cuts off, but she did say that she was bleeding. So that kind of confirms what I was just saying about there being blood evidence.
He kisses me on the forehead and he spoons me to sleep. His translator and my friend came in the next morning, woke us up, I get dressed, they get us an Uber. We go back to our hotel, pack up our stuff, and that's it. That's what happened.
So, after all of that, they get an Uber and leave, and that's the last time she has any contact with Alex Pereira or Melvin Jovel. So, that's the full-on explanation from this accuser as to what happened between her and Alex Pereira. We can go back over to the text messages, and there was, again, that's the training footage that she had posted an image of. There is this picture of them hanging out somewhere. So this is the final text message that was sent between her and what I think is her friend, and let's just read this through. It says, "I feel like every morning I wake up and I feel shittier, and it's more clear to me that they manipulated us and used us/assaulted us. I've been disassociated ever since I left that hotel." Friend likes that comment. Says, "Nothing feels real," with a skull emoji. "They knew older women wouldn't put up with that shit." Friend puts an exclamation point reply. "So they preyed on us low key. I can't tell who's a bigger piece of shit. Mel for pretending to be a safe person for us and acting like a very easy person to open up to, or Alex for telling him to do that and then assaulting me and not thinking twice about it." Skull emoji. So that was sent on June 6th. So that would line up. Again, the event took place on the 1st. This would have been 5 days later. So there you go. For Mel's part, he posted this story on Instagram.
"Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying."
You know, classic meme, of course, but obviously you know why he posted that. And the last piece of information that came out that I was able to find about this was this exchange, which also I think looks like from Instagram before she deleted her account. This exchange is between her and some unknown person. It says, "Nice fake allegations. Hope your failed OnlyFans career produced enough money for defense lawyers." She replies with a laughing emoji and responds, "The money I'm making from all the exposure to my OnlyFans will pay well for them." You can chalk this up to her joking in a sarcastic way. However, it doesn't look really good on her part to say something like that, even if it is sarcastic and joking. So as you can see by all of the details that we've just gone over here, a lot of what she's saying does track as true, except for, unfortunately, the main accusation. However, if she could get the surveillance footage from the restaurant incident, that would be lending credibility towards there being undesired activity between the two of them. There's just not a lot to go on as far as the main accusations go. If there is footage of these guys buying these women drinks and the friend is underage, that is certainly a crime. There might be some repercussions from that. However, the primary allegation of sexual assault against Alex Pereira just seems to be somewhat he said, she said, based on that account. Perhaps there is more that will come out that will confirm or deny it, but as of right now, that's what we've got. Yeah, so that's everything. We'll have to see what happens with this story. Obviously, it's a very big one in the MMA world right now. New information does seem to continue to come out. Alex has not made a statement about it yet, as far as I have been able to tell. So once that comes out, perhaps there'll be some further light to be shed on everything. We don't know if there's going to be legal proceedings coming up because of this. There very well might be, though. So what do I think about all of this as to whether or not these allegations are true? I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, I was not there. I do not know the reality of what happened in that hotel room. That seems to be something that can only be known right now between these four people. And it'll be interesting to see what the accounts are from all four of those people should this advance to any kind of legal action. So I am withholding judgment as to whether or not this is true or not. However, a lot of people online are saying that this girl, if these allegations are untrue, deserves a harsh penalty. And that's something I would agree with, because if this is true and it did happen, then the penalty against Alex Pereira is going to be very harsh, or should be very harsh anyway. The legal system doesn't always work as intended, but it should be to the full extent of the law that he is punished if these are true accusations. However, it seems that in our society, false accusations don't always get the same amount of penalty and repercussion. A lot of people are saying that they believe that if these allegations are false, this girl deserves a pretty hefty penalty of some sort. I would agree with that. So I am withholding judgment as to whether or not they are true. If they are true, he deserves to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. If they are untrue, she deserves some prosecution of her own. A lot of people are saying that this is a cash grab. It very well could be. We know what happened to Conor McGregor many times at this point. Some of those perhaps could be true. Some might not be true. Who knows on those either? We do know that with the level of star power that you have as a champion, as a well-known figure in the sport, these types of things do happen. And at least for Conor, I remember the most recent one being at the Miami Heat Arena. That was essentially dropped before going any further into a deeper investigation, because it was pretty well understood that that was a cash grab situation. So is that what we're looking at here? It's too early to say. We're going to have to wait until more information comes out. This was a little bit of a different video for the channel, but I wanted to get this one out because I have a fully scripted video on another serious incident that happened in the MMA world that was already ready to go, but this is obviously bombshell news, and I wanted to get something out about it as quickly as possible. So if you like this style of video, let me know in the comments. I can do more of this style if it's something that you guys enjoy. Either way, I've been Thinker St. James. This is Yelling About Mixed Martial Arts. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.